So looking at the Trump administration's move to block Broadcom's takeover of Qualcomm, does this throw cold water on the broader consolidation story we've been seeing throughout the sector?
Yeah, I mean, this really started with CFIUS's rejection of the Canyon Bridge Lattice deal. What this really said is it's going to be extremely hard for a foreign entity to take over a U.S. entity. And this from last night is entirely new, uncharted territory, as Broadcom did want to domicile in the U.S. So we haven't seen this before.
Were you surprised by this move, or not even this move, but CFIUS's report ahead of this move?
Absolutely. This is uncharted territory, and there are ongoing acquisitions, for example, Marvell and Cavium right now that this could potentially play into. We think the risks are overblown there, but this changes the landscape entirely for semiconductors that have been under consolidation for years now.
And Chris Caso, I'll ask you the same questions. Do you think this throws cold water on the consolidation we've seen? What do you think it does to other potential M&A?
I don't think it throws cold water on consolidation in general. I think this was a very special case. I think that there was, with regard to the technology that was involved, but, most of the M&A that's happened in the semiconductor space has been, just simply to reduce cost. And we're in a slowing growth landscape right now, and consolidation's been a great way to drive earnings. I think it's likely to continue, even given this ruling.
So, Chris Caso, what do you think are the next potential M&A targets?
Well, I mean, there's quite a few. There's probably too many to mention. But I think, right now, as Chris mentioned, there's some that are ongoing right now, which are quite helpful to earnings. One that's happening now we have an interest in is microchip, microsemi. Microchip's been one that's been a consolidator that has had a really good track record of driving cost savings and earnings accretion through that. And microsemi is their latest, and we're quite positive on that.
Chris Rolland, what does this do to the calculus around Qualcomm? There were some people saying, oh, their licensing business model is dead. They obviously have to change. Apple hates it. But the U.S. government seems to have given an implicit endorsement to Qualcomm's R&D approach, which is funded by that licensing model. Are the odds better that Qualcomm works all of this out and ends up looking pretty much like the Qualcomm we've known to date?
I think it's going to be the Qualcomm that we know today. I don't think there are going to be a ton of changes here. As a percentage of revenue, given their scale, they probably do spend too much on R&D. This is an interesting approach where a president for the first time says the R&D spend is potentially of national interest, and we don't want somebody who's a cost cutter to come in and take this over. It's kind of new days here.
With the Qualcomm stock down 4% right now, is this a buy? Where do you stand on it?
This is about right for Qualcomm. Maybe over the next 12 months, it could move higher from here, but they have a lot of challenges going it alone. With Broadcom, if they had that tie-up, Broadcom could have leaned this thing up and could have put it on the right path towards profitability, real profitable growth. But now the same challenges that have always existed continue to exist here, with 5G at least a year and a half away.
Chris Caso, when we look at 5G and the companies that investors should be paying particular attention to as having a lot to gain from the rollout of that technology, AT&T has said they're rolling it out in 3 cities in the U.S. at the end of this year. Where should investors be focused?
Well, there's 2 others that I'd point to in that space also. In the RF space, the radios that connected to the 5G network. Skyworks and Qorvo are 2 in that space, and those are stocks that underperformed lately. We think that they have some content actually coming up in the fall with some of the new iPhones coming out, which help, and that provides a bridge to 5G. Our expectation is that 5G, it starts having somewhat of an impact in 2019, but 2020 is really when 5G really starts to take hold, and those are 2 that would participate in that.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.